This is episode 71 of the Wilderness Locals podcast. On this episode, our guest is Joe Eppele. Joe is one of the hosts of Edge TV, a retired professional football player, and a passionate outdoorsman. This podcast is brought to you by Kafaro International, the toughest hunting gear on the planet, bar none. Frontiersman gear, high quality, completely custom, handmade knives. And as always, brought to you by Just Shooting Arrows, BC's premier archery shop. So let's just jump into it. I got Big Joe. You're here.
I am here. We've been trying to get together for this podcast for how long now? I don't even know.
I don't know, 6 months or something. I think we messaged. I think we messaged right after me and Wasey had Steve on, Steve Eckland, and who you do a lot of work with, right?
Yes, Steve's my co-host on The Edge. So him and I host The Edge together.
There you go. And I think since then we've gone into hunting season and bear season, and then I think we've both been on a gazillion hunts since then. And I've had a baby, and you're getting ready to have a baby, and life is wild.
Life certainly does not seem to be slowing down anytime soon. I will certainly agree with that. And I know, it seems like at the start we had so much time where we could have connected and it didn't work out. And then no surprise, obviously hunting season comes around, and my wife's lucky to see me once a week right now.
I'm in the same boat. It's like my wife will be like, "Are you working or are you going in the woods?" I'm like, "That's for me to know and for you to find out if I bring a deer home." Exactly.
It's a good test for any marriage, that's for sure. If you can get through a hunting season with a guy like us, you can get through anything.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's that's another thing. Like with daylight savings having just we fell back or whatever, it gets dark an hour earlier. It's a lot easier on the family, I find.
Yes, it's definitely easier. Well, I think there's not that pull at the end of the day to jump in your truck and go for those evening hunts. So you're probably going to be around the house a little bit more. It certainly does put a lot more pressure on me, though, because my wife still likes to get out and hunt quite a bit. So we used to have those evening hunts together, whereas now I really have to start crunching my schedule down because I have to do my hunts, and then I got to get her out for her hunts, and life gets interesting.
So we often basically go to on this thing, who are you? What do you do? And on this one, I think it's important we hit what did you used to do? And how did you get started hunting? How did you get into it?
Oh boy, where to begin? All right, well, who I am modern day and what I do modern day. My name is Joe Eppele. I live in Squamish, BC. I am a current host on Wild TV's show The Edge, co-host with Steve Eckland. I believe we're filming my third or fourth year with the show right now.
Nice.
My primary job and role is I actually work for Wild TV in our group of networks. I do the marketing campaigns, product placement, host partnerships, things like that, and large scale campaigns and production for a lot of our big partners. So that's the big scale part of my role.
Awesome.
I work with a lot of the companies on the side. And then the cherry on top is obviously co-hosting the show with Steve Eckland. Getting to learn from some really amazing people and go some pretty cool places and chase my dreams a little bit. And then what did I used to do? I used to do a lot of different things. But I think what you're getting at is that I used to play professional football in the CFL.
Cool.
I played 5 years in the CFL. I was a 2012 Grey Cup champion. We won the 100th Grey Cup with the Toronto Argonauts. That was pretty stinking cool.
Right on.
And former first round draft pick. I was picked second overall, so I was the first loser. And previous to that, I was at Washington State, where I was on a football scholarship. And I did all right while I was there academically. I didn't get a lot of playing time on the field, but I did all right academically, and I did well enough to get drafted in the CFL.
Right
football. On. And before that, I was a fat kid that grew up right here in Brackendale, BC, small town kid. Grew up in a small town family. My father was a welder. My mother held some random jobs. She had a mushroom buying station here in Brackendale. And my love for the outdoors kind of fell onto me just through my family's pastimes. Growing up, my father hunted. We hunted and fished. We spent our summers fishing and our falls hunting.
Nice.
So I came about that very, very naturally. I mean, some of my first and fondest memories are being out hunting, or, this time of year around the campfire talking stories. And then the mushrooming and foraging side came pretty naturally due to my mother's mushroom buying station and passions there as well. I mean, we used to do all our own gardening. I had my own beehive for a while. Like, we did some pretty cool, crazy stuff back in the day. So, my love for the outdoors kind of came to me naturally just because my family, my siblings, we all did it. And then my athletic career, just my pursuit of, I guess, self-torture and self-punishment took me some different directions for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And, I guess after my athletic career, I was very eager to get back to my primary passion, which was the outdoors. And I met a beautiful woman, my current wife, Kristen, who was crazy enough to move back to my hometown here in Squamish and let me get right back into it.
Nice.
That's where I'm at today. So hopefully that was a bit of a full circle.
I like it.
Breakdown.
That was good. One of my good buddies, Sky, I posted that you have any questions for Joe in my Instagram story there. One of my buddies, Sky, he chimed in there. He's like, "Are you going to tell Joe you don't know anything about football?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to tell him that. Like, absolutely not. I hope you won the Stanley Cup though."
Yes. Yeah. I won the Stanley Cup with a lot of 3-pointers.
There you go. That's exactly it. He scored a goal. Good.
Yeah. No, to be perfectly honest, I mean, yes, I obviously understand football quite well because it was my career for quite a long time, but it was never truly my major passion. And since retiring, I don't think I've sat through a full football game.
You know what's funny about that is, like, I grew up playing, not to talk about myself here, but I grew up playing like rep hockey and lacrosse and racing bikes. And the moment I stopped doing that stuff, I haven't thought about it since.
No, absolutely. It's something that I was apparently good at, or I was built for. I shouldn't even say I was good at it. I was built for it, and I was stubborn as heck, which made me stubborn enough to get good at it. And I saw it as an opportunity to kind of better myself, challenge myself, and open some new doors. So I'm extremely thankful for the opportunities that football gave to me. But if I said that football was ever like my real 100% true passion, I would be lying 100% of the time. Like it was an amazing opportunity. I got to do some really cool things, met some phenomenal people. And I loved the personal challenges it gave me, but it was never my true passion. So I hear you. And when the opportunities were kind of done and you walk away from the sport, it's like, all right, let's get back to what we really care about.
When you were, it sounds like you were back east a bit and stuff playing football. Were you still hunting or no?
I got out and hunted a little bit. But to call myself an outdoorsman and say that I was very active in the outdoors would be a complete lie. It was more so, head up to my buddy's cabin for the weekend and we'd crush a few cans. And, if we weren't too hungover in the morning, we'd go sit in the stand for a while.
Yeah, go unwind, right?
Exactly. It was more of a disconnect and an opportunity to kind of feel like I was back in the outdoors, but it never felt right. I'm growing up here in BC. You're aware of the fact that we're extremely spoiled with some phenomenal landscape around us.
Oh, yeah.
When we get outdoors and we get out hunting, it's a completely different experience than many people are lucky enough to have. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but sitting in tree stands for 14, 15 hours a day, it took its toll on me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No kidding. So in that vein, should we blow up the coastal mountains and talk a little bit about where you're at now and maybe once you got out of football there, kind of what your first things you were getting after were?
Dude, we can go down any avenue you want. You pick the topic and we'll explore it. I'm an open book.
So what did you get after you stopped playing professional football?
So after I stopped playing pro ball, I still stayed out in Ontario for a few years.
Yeah.
I actually went back to school, got my MBA at McMaster. And I wanted to do a few things before I left the area that kind of made sure that I was ready for the next step in life. So it was kind of like my preparation phase.
Yeah.
And then my wife and I moved back across Canada to my hometown. At the time, I was I actually managed Western Canada for an athletic supplement company.
Cool.
And that was really exciting time for me. But my true, again, I was still not right back in my true passion. Then I saw a sales opportunity come up with Wild TV, and I applied, and I was hoping, maybe in a few years, it'll create some opportunities where I might be able to be involved on some level with a show, maybe a guest appearance or who knows what. And they called me back, and I did a lot of PR work and community relations work when I was in professional sports.
Yeah.
And based on that alone, they said, we know you're in front of cameras quite often and all of that. Would you be willing to, consider a co-hosting role? And I bit my lip and tried so hard not to scream like a little girl on the phone. So I was very fortunate in how it all kind of played out. But my first pursuits when I came back home, to be perfectly honest, were like just getting back into the hunts that I grew up with. So that would be, blacktail hunting, kind of mule deer hunting in the mountains around us. I did go out and help my buddy right away, fill his goat LEH, but it's more so just the real steep, nasty coastal mountains that I missed, and I wanted to get out there. And those are those hunts that like you miss them when it's not that time of year, but as soon as you're out there like this time of year when it's torrential downpour, because that's the best time to hunt blacktails is when it's the nastiest weather ever. So within half an hour leaving your truck, you're really like, did I really miss this that bad? Oh
man, I relate with that so much. We have a running joke in one of our group chats where the other day I was out hunting with my buddy, and he's like a few hundred yards ahead of me. I'm like, why is he crawling on his hands and knees? Then I get up there and it's like vertical. So now in our group chat, it's like whenever we get back from a hunt, it's like, why was I crawling? It's just, this is terrible.
Yeah, I know. Some of the terrain we have out here on the coast, it's nasty. And you can imagine that obviously being a big guy at 6'8", it makes it a little tougher to sneak through these areas. And a lot of my buddies are, let's say, built for West Coast hunting a little more than I am. When we're running around out there and they're ducking under all these branches and I'm just doing everything I can to keep up with them, it gets a little frustrating sometimes.
Eating wet branches, it's great, eh?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nothing better.
Yeah, I slip right under them suckers too. I'm sorry. That's awesome. So you kind of cut your teeth with growing up hunting blacktail then?
Yes, that was our primary hunting growing up. My dad never did any predator hunting. We did very limited mule deer hunting.
Yeah.
And it was, I think we went on a few moose hunts, but never connected. It was primarily just blacktail in the area. So
that's
just
cool.
The nastiest, most miserable hunt, but still some of the best memories.
It's funny about blacktails, man. They're so, I lately I've been talking about blacktail hunting because that's what I'm doing right now. I mean, I live in Region 2 as well. And, I feel like I'm giving people a look into something that I shouldn't, because if people start doing it, they might realize how fun and how cool it can be.
It's a different type of a hunt. It's like mule deer. A lot of the times you're out there glassing for long periods of time, finding them, then you plan your stock in. Different situations like, blacktail, it's a different type of torture. I mean, everybody talks about type 2 kind of fun. There's definitely a strong mental game, because typically with blacktail hunting, there's not a lot of long glassing opportunities. You have to be in there working the bluffs, working the ridges. And when it happens, like half the time when you spot a blacktail, like it's right there in front of you before you even notice it. And it's just this sudden, this constant not knowing and this sudden rush when you do come in. I mean, and my buddies and I, we always joke, because if you see a doe, if you're out blacktail hunting and you see a doe, you've had a phenomenal day. Yeah. In a lot of the areas we hunt, like they're just ghosts. And when it does all come together, it just makes everything so worth it. It's such a cool experience. But
did you see that the photo this morning that what's his name there, Steve Isdall, posted on his Instagram? So he's like, I'm using my blacktail skills hunting whitetails. It's just like a photo of an eye looking through a bush.
He had the one buck just stare. I think it was a buck too, staring at him through the trees.
Just absolutely nailed it. Like what blacktail hunting is,
I would say that blacktail hunting is a style of hunting that if you can get good at it and consistently successful, it will overflow into almost every other hunt. For example, like an early season elk hunt, when you're screaming back and forth, I mean, you're getting in right tight and close. On an elk hunt, you don't have to worry about being as quiet as you typically do on a blacktail hunt, but there's still a lot of skills that kind of overlap. And to me, being, I won't even say good, but being decent or all right at blacktail hunting has made me a better hunter for a lot of my different pursuits as well.
Yeah. I often say that, like, I hunt a southern BC elk hunt every year really hard, and I hunt blacktails in down here too really hard, and like those are kind of the proving ground for me. Like when we went on our goat hunt this year, it was my first mountain goat hunt, and I was like, this is not all that different than hunting blacktail until you bust through tree line, and then it's basically mule deer hunting, right?
Absolutely. I would say, I mean, there's blacktail hunting translates into a lot of other ones. I mean, obviously like stone sheep hunting, things like that. If you're hiking a ton of time, it's completely different terrain. So it's a different style hunt, but I mean, And I think blacktail hunting, if you can consistently put the days in conditions like these, your mental toughness has to be through the roof, which will certainly help you on any of those other frustrating hunts. When you are, on a goat hunt, you're above the alpine or above the tree line, you're way up there in the scraggly rocks, and you're wondering what the heck you're doing. You can sit there and go, well, at least I'm not crawling through swampy marshes and Devil's Club in the middle of frickin' November right now. So
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. One of my buddies is working on his first blacktail, and he's got a really deadly blacktail on camera. And it's like the message chain between us is like, just keep going, like you got this. I mean, as like the co-host of this show has a saying, he just says, don't weaken, right? Like that's just it with blacktail hunting.
Well, that's it. You have to for me, it's every chance I get, I got to be out there, and you never know when that day is going to come. I will say that, I have friends that have success on nice days, but it's very rarely that I'll go out even on a nice day. Like if I'm planning on going out and the weather gets nice, I'm cranky. Yeah. Like it's got to be rainy. It's got to be gloomy, foggy, something nasty like that. That's when I seem to have the best luck. Do
you think it's because they feel more secure in that kind of condition, or is it cover for you?
I have this debate with my buddies all the time. I'm not sure. Like I've seen them in the open a lot more in terrible conditions. So I think it has to be something to do with the fact that they feel more comfortable. But at the same time, I know obviously when it's raining, because we are in such dense vegetation, the rain's hitting the branches, hitting the leaves. There's a lot of little movements going on. And obviously there's that sound that dampens everything we're doing. And you're going through all this underbrush, and, wet leaves make a lot less sound than dry leaves. Yeah. So I would say it's a combination of the two. But it's very different than, say, whitetail hunting. I mean, when I've been out whitetail hunting, typically if the weather's really nasty, a lot of other deer species will hunker down. Whereas blacktail, they just do not seem to be affected by the weather in that same way. They almost move more. Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. It's they're fun. They're a fickle critter. It's a tough hunt, and I mean, I try not to put the spotlight too much on it, because then I'll have guys hunting the country that I hunt, and it's another thing that's nice about blacktail is you very rarely run into dudes. Hey, if you're lucky, I would say that in my area here in Squamish area, a lot of my old honey holes that I used to hunt, especially growing up, are like city parks now. Like I've gone to some spots and I park there and there's 4 trucks in the morning in an area that I want to look at. I mean, maybe I just need to set my alarm earlier, but it's just frustrating to me. So I'm not the kind of guy that likes to hunt in the same area as other people. If I see someone's truck in a spot, I'm going somewhere else. So, it does make it a little more challenging, obviously, trying to find new areas, find new little honey holes. But I mean, again, it just adds to that type 2 fun of blacktail hunting, I'll say, where, the challenge just never seems to end. Yeah, for sure. So you've had an absolute bomber season this season. Thank you. Yeah, it certainly didn't start out the way I was hoping it would start out, but things started to catch up in a hurry. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you shot a nice elk, shot a nice moose, and I think I saw a good muley down too, right?
Yeah. My first trip up north was originally it was supposed to be a caribou hunt, but then some things happened, some plans changed, so we kept the same dates, and we decided it would be essentially like an early elk / moose hunt, but we knew it was going to be very challenging. It was just going to be kind of the start, kickoff of the rut for the elk, and the moose was just going to be get high and try and glass something. We were able to find some really good zones that we got excited about, and we knew that there was moose in the area, and we knew there was elk in the area. We had an opportunity at one really nice bull just in the last little bit of the hunt, but it just didn't come together. So I was definitely feeling a little down on myself after that first trip up there. I mean, you hunt hard, especially early season, you're putting in long hours, like early mornings, late nights, like really long hours. So I was pretty beat down. Fortunately, I got another opportunity to get back up there. And the second trip was night and day. What a difference a few weeks can make in the fall. We spotted our target bull moose our first day in the bush, got eyes on him, and then we had some complications. We chased him around for a few days. Actually, day one, we realistically probably could have put him on the ground, but with shooting light, we would have been fine. With filming light, we were trying to film for the show with filming light. It would have been very touch and go whether or not we would have been able to make it happen or whether the footage would have turned out. So that was a very tough decision to make as me, because I'm a hunter first and foremost. And the show is obviously, it's still a big part of my passion though. And I want to be able to share my experiences with everybody. But when I saw that bull, I wanted to be very selfish in that moment.
I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, but luckily it worked out. We had some really bad weather for a few days, but then finally on the fourth day, we were able to put in a good stalk. We spotted him from about 2K, put in a good stalk on him, got above him, and in the evening he walked out with a bunch of cows, and we were able to get him on the ground.
Nice.
And then, I mean, after that, that was actually in an area where we had hunted earlier. We knew we wanted to go back to, if I was able to get back up there. And then the first day, which is day 7, that we were able to get out and start chasing elk again, really chase elk again. We had 2 spots we wanted to check out. First spot was a little dead. And then the second spot we wanted to get to check out, that's where we were able to connect on my bull.
Nice.
And he was a stud. When we first saw him, I think my words were, I just looked out through the binos and he was, again, really, I can't remember exactly what the distance was when he first walked out and ripped a bugle at us in response. But he had really good mass, but he doesn't have crazy long manes, but he has good mass and nice long tines, I guess. And I looked at him and I think I looked at Colin. I was like, he looks like he might be a decent 5 or a bank 6. And he's like, let's throw the spotter on him anyways. And I mean, I'm like, yeah, sure, let's throw the spotter on him. So we throw the spotter on him, and all of a sudden we're like, oh man, maybe we should pay attention to this guy a little more. So we got to look at him, and then we got in and closed the distance and kept peeking some, looks over at him. We realized, he was a very respectable bull.
Yeah, he's a good bull.
And I was from the time where I first saw him, and then every point where we got eyes on him again, and even up until when I went and finally put my hands on him, he grew every time I saw him, which is nice when that happens, because that does not happen very often.
Well, it's not like blackberries, eh?
Oh man, yeah, no, we've all been there.
That's wicked. And then you smacked a pretty killer mule deer. Yeah,
the mule deer hunt, that was a very unexpected outcome of that trip. We were floating the Fraser, looking for callies, and it was just I was out there for a week with some good friends, and we were just floating the river and checking out the country. And I just love watching sheep. I didn't get to go on a stone sheep hunt this year, unfortunately. So I just wanted to get out and watch them. And we had a great week. We saw a lot of nice muleys early on in the trip, and I just kept saying, no, we're out here for sheep. We're out here for sheep. Let's keep passing. My buddy Wade connected on a nice one a few days from the end of the trip.
Nice.
And then I just kept saying, you know what? No, I'm here for sheep. That's my plan. And then the last day, it seemed like everything was going to come together. The number of rams we came across and used and everything, like they were everywhere. We found this huge congregation, and I was like, the rams kept coming out of the woods, and they were nice old heavy rams, but they were broomed off just shy. And but we had seen a really nice buck on the way in the morning. So finally, at the end of the day, we had to get back to the jet boat to run the river back to camp. We couldn't do it in the dark, so it was like, all right, we have to pull the glass off these sheep. It's obviously not going to come together for sheep on this trip.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're heading back, I was like, there was this one nice buck that we saw on our way in this morning, and I'm not sure if he's moved from the area or not, but it wasn't too far off the route back to our boat. So we were heading back to the boat, peeked over, and lo and behold, there he was, still hanging out close to the same spot. And I don't know if it was a week long, no opportunity on sheep that kind of got to me, or he is a dandy buck. I'm really tickled with him.
Yeah.
Or what it was, but I was looking forward to late season muley hunting this year so bad. There's something about watching a rutted up muley chase does on a hillside that really gets me going.
Yeah.
But I won't be doing that this year.
Yeah.
Which is probably a good thing, because my wife is due any day, or not any day now. I guess she's still about a month out. But
yep.
It's probably a good thing. I'll be able to be closer to home.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's definitely hard to pass on a deer that you would shoot on the hunt that you're going to go on, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't my planned outcome for that trip, but at no point in time was I disappointed that I put a tag on that buck. I was really happy. And again, like for me, going back to my roots, we were meat hunters. That's what I grew up doing. We hunt to put meat on a table. And I saw this buck. He's a nice buck, big body buck sitting there, happened to have very nice headgear as well. And he wasn't rutted up at all yet either. So, like the meat's still going to be as fresh as it gets. Not that rutted up bucks are really that much different, but it was tempting, and I'm happy he's sitting in my freezer right now.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know. Whoops. I said, I've said this before on the podcast. I have a buck in my freezer that's like Russian roulette when you eat it. Half the time he's awesome. Half the time he's making the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Oh yeah. I found that for me with a really rutted up buck, number one, you have to be really careful when you're butchering, and you have to process them like very carefully. No hide, no fur gets in contact with the meat. Yeah. Then also in preparation, when you're cooking it, low and slow. If you bring that meat, like if you're trying to fast fry or sear it or do anything like that, or do some grilling in a hurry, that's what I found in the past really brings out that gamey or rutted up taste out. If you have the time, go low and slow. In my experience, 9 times out of 10, you could serve that buck next to a non-rutted up buck, and nobody will know the difference.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think taking care of the meat is the number one factor, right?
Without a doubt. Absolutely. That one, I think, even like if you look at bear, for example, I love bear meat. We love bear meat at my house, and a lot of people have really weird feelings about bear meat. But one thing with bear meat is bear meat spoils faster than any meat I've ever seen before. Like I swear, bear meat spoils faster than fish or pork in the sun. Like when you take that bear, you gotta get it down. You gotta skin it. You gotta get all the fat off of that meat right away and get that meat dropped down to temperature like ASAP.
Yeah.
And if you're planning on staying in the bush a few extra days, like, sorry, your plans, in my experience, your plans got to stop then. Like you got to get that bear. I hang them quickly and I butcher them and get them in my freezer, like quite often within 24 hours they're in my freezer.
That's awesome. You mentioned sheep hunting there. Have you connected on a sheep yet?
I am a not so proud member of the Less Than One Club. Yeah, I've seen some great rams out there before, but
nothing wrong with that.
I have not taken anything home with me yet. I would really like to get out of that club in the very near future. I really thought this was going to be the year for that. But I guess I just wanted to build the anticipation for myself a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, man. I think it's there's a growing trend in BC where guys want to get out of that club so bad they're willing to shoot stuff that they shouldn't, right?
Yeah, that's something that I'm very, very aware of, and I try and I don't want to say I try and avoid it. Like I avoid that like the plague. I've had some really nice rams in my crosshairs, and I wouldn't be surprised if I've left some legal rams on the hill, and some rams that other people might not have passed up on. But for me, just the outcome that I want is when I first walk up to that ram, I don't want to have that sinking feeling in my stomach the whole time before I go to my, report and get that plug finally in it. Like I want to walk up on it and be proud of that thing from day one and feel good about the harvest. So, to each their own. Everybody has their own harvest, policies or ways they want to do it. But absolutely, I buy it. If you're taking illegal rams, that's a no bueno. That's a no fly zone.
Yeah.
Sheep, if you've hunted them long enough, I think the amount of respect you have for them, for the country they live in, and for them to live as long as they do, I think they deserve our respect enough for us to be overconfident before we pull the trigger.
I'm at the point in my sheep hunting career where I'm in a no shoot zone still. I'm still just looking at sheep, trying to figure out what's over.
I mean, just pick an age is a tough one. Getting confident with counting rings, and being able to identify, false annuli, things like that as well. Yeah. I think it's a constant learning experience. And every time I'm fortunate enough to come across somebody who has extensive sheep experience, I will sit there like a human sponge and soak up every bit of knowledge that they're willing to spew out.
Awesome. So here's an interesting one, and I love to ask guys this. What's your favorite hunt to date? What's your most memorable hunt that you've had so far?
Oh man, I swear that story, like that changes for me daily. My favorite hunt to date. Gosh. I mean, like personal payout wise, I've got some really cool stories, but I'd still have to say like my favorite hunt to date would have to be one of the blacktail hunts with my old man. Yeah. I mean, we've had some pretty cool hunts together. But to pick, that's a tough one, man. That's the kind of thing, like when you say, hey Joe, let's do a podcast, you got to give me time. I've got one blacktail, one buck sitting above my couch in my living room. He's an old guy, and it was supposed to be my first buck. Actually, I was out hunting with my old man. I'd broken a bone in my foot playing football. Oh yeah. I didn't want to tell him I had a broken bone in my foot because I knew he wouldn't take me hunting. So I'm still pretty young, and I was like, you know what? I'm still pretty young. Half the time we go hunting, my dad, like we just end up, walking roads and walking slashes, that kind of thing. So it won't be that bad. So I just tied my boot up extra tight, and away we went. And just so happened that this was the day my dad was like, all right, I'm going to make a man out of you today, and we're going straight up from the start. We're heading up into the bluff. And I tried to keep a straight face on for the start of it, and, just grit my teeth and push through it. But finally, after a while, we're heading up into the bluffs, and I just looked at my dad and I was like, Dad, like, I got to tell you, like I got a busted bone in my foot. Like my foot's swollen like crazy. This is legitimately killing me right now. Like I can't keep pushing. He's untie my boot. He takes a look at my boot or my foot. And I think, full disclosure, I think he cussed me out and called me an idiot for A, not telling him, and B, kind of making us hike all the way up the hill. And now he's got to figure out how to get me down. And, he's probably pissed off, being perfectly honest, that I've ruined the day of hunting that he was really excited for.
Totally fair.
Anybody that hunts knows, yes, you want to be the right guy in every moment. But as a hunter, you're still like, come on, man. Like, I really wanted to head that much higher. Like, you're screwing me over here. So we just started shooting the shit, and we're walking down the hill, having a great talk and laughing and just having a freaking blast. And this shows you how crazy blacktail hunting can be. Yeah. We're just having a freaking laugh. And then we're not that far from, getting back to the logging road where my dad's truck was parked on. And I look at him, I'm like, Dad, I just heard a grunt. And he's like, nah, you're full of shit. Like, you didn't hear a grunt. We're talking way too loud. Let's keep hiking. So we keep slowly making our way down to the truck. And again, a little while later, I'm like, no, I guarantee I just heard a grunt. Like, this is crazy. It's getting closer. I don't know what's happening. Again, he looks at me like, you're crazy. Nothing's going on. Let's keep walking down to the truck. So we walk a little bit farther, and all of a sudden I turn around, and it couldn't have been more than 40, 50 yards. There's this buck standing there on this little bench, stomping and snorting at us, staring straight at us. And my dad are talking like you and I are right now. Yeah. And my dad looks at me, and we're just far enough that it's kind of difficult for him to get the gun to me. And he looks at me and says, like, get up here and get this done. I'm like, Dad, and it's a nice buck, especially for a blacktail. I'm like, Dad, like, just put a round into this guy right now. So he looks up and he plugs the buck, and he rolls down and gets caught in this little nasty little section of trees. Mm-hmm. And we walked down him, and he was just an absolute toad of a buck. And my dad and I, we tied a rope to the rack, and we had to lean back into the hill and like go side to side to get him back down to our truck. But it literally, like, it was one of the coolest and I guess easiest blacktail hunts I've been on with regards to, we literally rolled him right down to the road afterwards, and it was right where the truck was.
That's awesome.
It was just a really cool experience that I shared with my dad. And, you know, it was full of, you know, a little bit of type 2 fun heading up the hill, and then challenge, and then laughs, and end of the day, it paid off with a nice buck. And it just shows you that this time of year when the bucks are rutting, they can do freaking anything.
And it's a great story, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those ones that I still have the rack. It's still sitting above my couch in my living room. So every time I see it, it just puts a bit of a smile on my face. And it reminds me that when I do head out in these really shitty, nasty mornings and I spend all day in the bush, it might be worth it. It might pay off. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah,
that's cool, man. What's coming up for Joe? What's going on at Wild TV and all that kind of stuff? I mean, a baby is a big thing.
A baby is a very, very big thing. Speaking of big things, we just went in for an ultrasound, and apparently at this stage, or this was a little while ago, but at that stage, an average, I guess, estimated weight for a baby is supposed to be 3.5 to 4 pounds. Mm-hmm. And the ultrasound tech, my wife, she's not an overly large lady, or she's not a big girl. I shouldn't say an overly large girl. She's not a big girl or big gal. And her stomach is just, it looks like this giant pumpkin coming out of her midsection right now. Oh, yeah. And ultrasound tech's doing the ultrasound, and she's like in there, and she's like, how far along are you? My wife tells her, she's like, okay. And she's just confused the whole time. And she keeps going. And she's like, yeah, this baby's like, it's like above the 100th percentile. Did the tech keep glancing at you like, okay, this makes sense? So I wasn't allowed to be in there for it. Oh, right now with what's going on. So I wasn't allowed to be in there. But then the tech, again, it's a small town here. The tech looks at Kristen Sheet. She goes, oh, Eppele, like, are you really, or to Josh Eppele, which is my brother. And my wife looks at her and goes, oh yeah, that's my brother-in-law. And the tech apparently just looks at Kristen and goes, oh, so this is Joe's baby. That makes sense now.
I'm sorry, ma'am, you're having a baby Sam Squatch.
Yeah. So apparently, I mean, at whatever stage, he's supposed to be 3.5 pounds, and he was over 6 pounds by estimate.
That's good.
So a big baby. So that's the number one big thing that's on its way. But for some reason right now, I'm hiking around in the hills with my bow, driving myself crazy, trying to get close enough to one of these suckers to put an arrow in them.
I'm doing the exact same thing right now. I'm hiking around for blacktail with a recurve. It's stupid.
I think you and I should go and get our heads checked.
For sure. Like, we should just, let's throw them suckers in yours in a melting pot, mine in a wood chipper, and let's just go gun hunting.
Oh my gosh. It's it's a challenge. And I mean, but it's fun. And I think when it does pay off, it's going to be that much sweeter when it happens. But it certainly makes for some frustrating interactions with some blacktail, but
that's awesome. And then, I mean, I was going to say, do you have anything else planned? But we know the answer to that. You already tagged that mule deer you're going to go do in November here.
Yeah, but believe it or not, I still have a few opportunities on the table heading into the rest of the year. And my wife, God bless her soul, said that she wants me to get out and, you know, keep hunting through the winter and these other opportunities. So, I mean, through the winter, I'll probably get out. My goal is to, I want to go out and call it a cougar.
That'd be cool.
that's going to be my goal again, calling a cougar with my bow, because I know some areas locally where nobody would really run hounds. The terrain's too nasty and there's not enough road access. So if you run a hound, it's very likely you're going to lose it. So I want to go in and personally, like, just solo hike in after the tracks, kind of try and get nice and close, sit down and do some calling, see if I can pull a cat in with my bow. So that's one goal. And then my good buddy Kyle and I hit a late season goat draw as well. So,
nice.
So we're going to go out and when I've got a newborn baby at home, when I could be at home with my beautiful wife and newborn son, really enjoying some quality time, I'm going to go out and freeze my tail off in a really foggy coastal area with Kyle and play too many games of cribbage. Yeah. Hoping that we might hit 1 or 2 days of visibility.
I hear you. Oh man, those winter goat hunts are something I said I would never do, and then I think I'm actually going in February because my tag goes till February, so that's great.
Yeah, you know what? The longer there's a lot of stuff in hunting where growing up, I just said I just wanted a blacktail hunt, and was never really interested in other pursuits. But I don't know if it's some kind of sick drive for self-punishment, or I don't know what it is. But every time I try something that I thought I would never have been able to accomplish before, and I succeed at it, I'm like, well, that was cool. How can I torture myself in a new way? So. God only knows where I'll be in 5-10 years from now, what kind of pursuits I'll be pursuing.
So, what's going on at Wild TV? What's next? Let's hit the business end of this thing. And, what's happening over there?
What's going on at Wild TV? One really cool thing that, I'm really excited about is everybody, like, we have quite a few, friends and people I know that always want to see our show, but Wild TV or another on their TV package. I mean, a lot of people just go linear through apps and everything now. Yeah. We just launched the Wild TV app. You can now download an app. I think it's pay option. So I think it's like $4 a month or $5 a month or like $35 for the year. Yeah. And you can then go on and stream. It's like the Netflix of the hunting world. You can stream. I think we're up to over like 5,000 episodes of different shows on there now. Oh, it's awesome. So finally, it's really cool for me. That's great. A lot of friends and family that I can now share our content with and share the stories our pursuits that much easier with. So that's really cool. We get to go global. Other than that, I mean, obviously just continuing to wrap up the filming of season 12 right now for The Edge, big one. And then in the new year, I still have to go. I don't have to go down, but I'm going to be heading down. We got SHOT Show. We got ATA. A few other major show events that I go down to every year that I get to go and check out. Cool. Meet some really cool people. So yeah, we got a lot of really cool things going on. For Wild TV though, I would say hands down the biggest thing for us right now is going, switching over, or I guess adding the app platform for us. That one's a really cool one. So any of you guys listening in right now and you want to check out our show and don't happen to have Wild TV, download the app. Yeah. I think I already did. I actually think I already did. I swear. My eldest daughter, she's a big hunting TV fan. Like she grew up watching all that stuff, right? So she's into it. We definitely cuddle up and watch that stuff. So. Oh man, that's so cool. That reminds me of me as a kid. Everybody else was watching cartoons and I was waking up early on the weekends to tune in and catch the hunting shows. So yeah, no, she's 5 and all she wants to do is kill bears. I just keep telling her she has to wait. It sounds like you're doing a good job raising her right. And I hope you do get to get her out in the bush at the earliest opportunity. Oh, I think she has more miles on her little boots than most adults do. So. Unreal. That's awesome, man. You're doing it right. Doing it right. Well, you'll be doing the same here. Let's let everybody know how to follow you and find you. Obviously the Wild TV app, right? And then on Instagram at Joe Eppele, right? Yeah, it's Joe_Eppele. Perfect. EPPELE. There have been, I don't know why, but I swear within the last 2 weeks, there's been like 5 or 6 fake accounts pop up. I saw that. I don't know if it's some troll that's coming after me or what it is. So make sure you spell my name right if you're going to follow somebody. And yeah, don't get scammed. If you start following me and whatever account you're following asks you for credit card information the first day, chances are you followed the wrong account.
I don't know why that account that I follow keeps sending me photos of himself dressed like The Rock. It's weird.
Oh, that's me.
Okay,
me.
good.
I thought you were going to say, I thought you were going to say in shiny underwear, and that would have been me as well. But
all right,
I'm glad you went with The Rock.
Right on, man. Well, dude, it's been awesome. I'm so glad we finally connected, and good luck in your black-tailed pursuit. I'm sorry you're dealing with it, but good luck. And and good luck with the baby, and I hope he or she arrives happy and healthy and all that stuff, and I hope mama does well. So
thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I hope your pursuit for blacktail goes as well. You're taking it obviously one step further than I am, going just straight trad bow. I thought I was crazy, and you're that next level crazy. So good for you. Keep me posted.
he might eat a 280 Ackley instead. We'll see what happens in the next week.
I tell you what, I keep looking at my gun safe, and the itch is getting more and more real every day. So next week the rifle might make an appearance. We'll see. And we have 2 tags, right? So I mean, if you punch one tag, and then you can always go back out and torture yourself a bit more afterwards.
I find that second blacktail tag is very rarely getting looked at though after you've done one.
You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. And I think for you and I being in our family situations as well, with you with the recent new addition and me with the pending new addition, and we just bought a house within the last year, and I'm still waist deep in renovations right now. So I think for the sake of my marriage and my personal safety, I probably should fill one black.
That's the truth, man. Right on, brother.
Awesome.
I'll hit end on this thing and we'll call it.
You betcha. Thanks for the call, man. I'm glad we were finally able to connect on this one. It was a long time coming.
Hey, before I run the outro, if you want to do anything with Wild TV, get a hold of Joe. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review. You can follow us on Instagram @WildernessLocals. If you want to support the podcast, please check out the gear, articles, and whatever else we're up to on the website at www.wildernesslocals.net.